What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we've got a great episode for you today. We've got Dan Lesniak is here with us. We've got Gene, the Volpinator, the evil bald ninja himself, is also here with a very valuable tech tip. And I'm sure there'll be some Super Bowl gloating as well from Gene, sadly, that we have to endure. So we'll get to that in a second. But we're going to talk all about lead generation and really how to hyper focus your marketing and lead generation efforts so you're not spreading yourself so thin and you actually make a very deep and lasting impact in the areas where you actually want to spend most of your time generating leads so that you generate leads that you can actually convert. And so we'll get to some of those things when we dive into Dan's story, which is going to be really, really interesting for anyone, whether you are a new agent kind of wondering what to do or you're a team leader thinking about how to grow your next lead generation pillar or even thinking about jumping out of your brokerage and into your own independent. We've got a bunch of cool stuff to get into. So my partner, the junior grandmaster himself, is with us in the co-pilot seat where you so belong. Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
What up, Johnson Face? Dude, it is a beautiful, beautiful Friday here in Northern California. I am pumped to be here with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Dan's story was it was really interesting to listen to, kind of about his transition from where he was to where he is now. I think you guys are all going to be able to relate to this and really kind of enjoy his journey. Gene was not even in the mood to talk shit in the pre-show, which is a total letdown because I enjoy our shit talking so much.
I know. I was really expecting more, so we'll see. Maybe he'll rise to the occasion.
I'm saving it for game time. Game time.
Game time? That's not for another 8 months.
Yeah,
you're talking about game time.
I'm talking about Are You Live game time, baby.
Okay. Well, hey, but I do want to say something, Matt. You know, with the our brokerage that we're building, our team that we're building with EXP, right. The amount of people that are reaching out and the amount of people that are interested in it is astounding on how many people I'm talking to. Guys, come join our team. We're only putting 500 people on our team, and then I'm going to build your teams. So in the next 5 years, if I hit 500 people this year, we're not recruiting anymore. So get on the boat if you guys want to do it. Go to bookmcdaniel.com if you want to talk about it. But I love our audience, Matt. They are wonderful, beautiful people. That's it.
I'm glad.
That's my opinion, damn it. Yes. And I'm not letting you dissuade me from it. No way.
Okay, yeah, because I have terrible things to say about our audience behind the scenes. Okay, so let's bring in Dan Lesniak. Dan, how are you today?
Hey, thanks for having me on. How are you guys?
We are doing awesome and psyched to have you. So just give us kind of a 60-second bio. Tell us kind of where you're based at, what your team looks like, and we'll go from there.
Sure. We're based in Arlington, Virginia, so we cover the Northern Virginia market, D.C., as well as Maryland. And our team right now's got about 35 people. We're looking to expand to 50, though. We're in a hiring, recruiting mode right now. Mm-hmm. Last year we did about 210 million. We were one of the top teams in Virginia, and we're looking to grow even more. And we've been operating on our own for the last almost 4 years now at our own independent brokerage. But prior to that, we were at Keller Williams, and I actually started off at Century 21. So.
So you've been through some interesting transitions in your time. You've been, a really successful solo agent, then started building a team. You ended up merging with another team. You were at, one of the top teams at Keller. Then you leave and you start this, independent brokerage. That ends up working out very well. So you're an interesting guy because you've had success at each different level, and there's a lot of things that people can learn from what you've done at each of those levels, and I want to dive into to each of those today. But yeah, so you guys cover like Arlington. Just give us the rundown of where you guys cover so people can keep you in mind for referrals.
Sure. Yeah, our biggest two counties are Arlington and Fairfax. So in Arlington we were at about 110 million, which was number one by and the next guy on that list was around 30 million. So. We dominate that Arlington market. Fairfax, we did about 70 million, and then, whatever's left, about 30 or 40 million, we did in Loudoun County, Prince William County, D.C., and Maryland, kind of spread out between those. It's about 10 million in each of those counties.
And one thing that you mentioned that I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned offhand before we went on the air, is that you guys do a lot of new construction stuff, and that's actually a higher price point than your average sale. So what type of new construction is going on right now in that area, and how did you guys get involved in it?
Yeah, so most of the new construction that we're involved in is infill, tearing down these homes that were built in the 40s and 50s and building one home at a time. Every now and then you get lucky and you can get a bigger lot and make 2 to 4 homes out of it. That's getting harder to do though. But my wife, who we merged with, Carrie Scholl, she started off her career in new construction sales during the early 2000s. So she had a background in that, and when she got into general brokerage, she was really focused on helping the small custom builders find lots, find older homes, and the guys who were building 10 to 15 homes a year. So that's kind of where the origins of what we do now started, and that's continued to be a really great pillar for our business. And we also do our own development, and we don't just sell the homes for builders anymore. We'll actually acquire lots ourselves and raise the capital, and so we've really done a lot with that. It's
interesting because I was asking my buddy Jeff Cohn, who runs a very similar sized and volume producing team as you guys do, and he's in Nebraska, where there is a lot more, like, there's room to spread out, right? So it's not just infill new construction, but even there, the guys that aren't the small custom home builders they've got their own sales team anyway. So there's not a lot of, it's hard to spring a deal where you get, 100 sales a year. You're still looking at building relationships with guys that build 10 to 15 homes a year, which is the average. And he was telling me that they haven't really made a concerted effort to build those relationships because you have to have so many of them to make a big difference. So it's interesting to come across a guy like you where it is a big portion of your business and it's not anything magic that you've done. You didn't hit somebody that had 100 builds a year. You just have a lot of relationships through your wife with a lot of these smaller custom builders.
Yeah, we've probably got 5 or 6 builders and that we've partnered with over the years, and a lot of times it leads to resale business and other types of business. People come in thinking they want to do new construction. They learn that, like, oh, there's 200 decisions I have to make.
Right.
We kind of have a conversation up front with them, like how strong is your relationship, your marriage, before you go down this process, because there's a lot to decide on, right? So it can be stressful. So a lot of people come in thinking they'll do new construction and end up going resale, which is fine.
Interesting. That makes sense. So you get business not just from the actual builders themselves, but it creates other ancillary deals and then leads for other just regular business.
Yeah, it's not just the deals. I would say every new construction deal probably leads to like 3 or 4 other.
Very cool.
On average.
So Greg, I mean, that's something you have. You're in kind of a similar situation. There's no large cheap tracts of land, unless somebody wants to build directly on Mount Diablo. So I mean, if you were going to go out and build relationships with builders, you're looking at the same exact situation. They're having to tear down homes and infill and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, you're only going to get infill out here. I mean, if you went east a little bit, you'd find some land that you could build on. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty difficult. I mean, one of the things that I've taught for a while, you can go into Zillow, and there is an opportunity. You can go find like the new home developments, and if you don't know any builders, you can go find those little niche builders and go approach them, and go to the county records and find plots of land that either have partial permits pulled or no permits but are zoned for residential. Approach the owners. See if they want to sell. You have a buyer in tow, which is the builder. They haven't seen this property. The builders haven't seen this property, which builders get shown the same shit all the time. So they get really worn out about it. And Dan, I'm sure that you guys have run into that quite a bit. Like the builders that you guys work with have probably brought projects that have been brought to them 5-10 times. So I mean, you guys are pretty aggressive in the way that you go out and you find new land for them. I'd be interested to see how you guys do that. Because it's God only made so much of it, and there's no more being made, as far as I know. Matt, can you check with your dad on that to see if you can get the red line up to the big guy on that?
Yeah, I'll do that. That's fun. Yeah, Dan, is there anything you guys do special to bring like different and interesting deals to the builders, or just to interact with them in a way that kind of keeps them married to you guys rather than going out and finding some other agents they like better?
Yeah, the big thing we do with that is something my wife started before we even met. We call it the teardown program, but It's basically a series of 3 letters that go out to potential targets for the builders.
Mm-hmm.
We've probably sent it out to 10,000 homes in 2 different counties.
Okay.
And we basically look for the tax records for properties that have been held by the same owner for several years, and properties where the improved value is low relative to the land value.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how we make our list, and they get a letter that basically says there's a builder or
Mm-hmm.
network of builders potentially interested in their home. They can offer cash, close quickly, let them rent back. Offers all sorts of benefits. A couple different calls to actions. They can go online. They can call in. So we give them 2 or 3 different ways to respond. And rather than do 1 letter a month, what we typically do is we'll send that letter out week 1. Then week 2 it goes out and it says second notice, and then week 3 it goes out and says 3rd and final attempt, and we'll do that once a quarter basically, but it's not monthly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And,
I like that. That's very cool. Yeah, and I'd love to get into where those calls go and stuff like that. We'll maybe get to that when we come back to the lead gen conversation. But I know, Gene, I don't think you have all day to stick around with us here, so I wanted to make sure we give you a chance to chime in here. So, Gene, you had a good tech tip that we were talking about before we went on the air, but what it has to do with texting backups?
Sort of.
Okay.
The first tech tip I have is you should go onto YouTube and look for the NFL sounds of the game, so you can really see what it was like when the Philadelphia Eagles beat up on the Patriots.
Literally the first game I've ever seen where Bill Belichick may have been outcoached.
May have been. Come on, Matt.
Well, come on. I mean, you have to admit that if the calls were brilliant because they worked. The call where Tom Brady dropped the pass, the call where Nick Foles caught the pass, that's the difference in the game, and that's essentially the same call.
Listen, I agree with you, but the problem is that they worked. Paul Franklin, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Paul Franklin. All right? I'm looking directly at you, Franklin. Listen to me. All right, so no, I haven't really gloated that much. I'm proud. This was a great couple weeks, and you guys know I was at the championship game a couple weeks back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got to watch the game with the family. The parade was yesterday. If you get a chance and you really want to see how crazy these guys were, look up the parade stuff. We had a mummer. Our center was dressed as a mummer. If you don't know what a mummer is, go look at it. You don't know what a mummer is?
I do not.
Oh, geez, that's another show. It's a New Year's Day tradition here where everybody gets dressed up like a clown. And they run up and down the streets. Yeah, wow. Yeah, for the most part. It's crazy. It's a crazy event that goes on New Year's Day.
What's going on?
So is this where Stephen King got his idea for the book It?
Not really clowns. Go look at it. Some of the outfits are crazy, but Jason Kelsey, the center, actually wore something and then went up on stage on the art museum steps and gave a speech that took everybody out. It was crazy. So anyway, that's another story for another day. We'll talk about it. But our tech tip, real quick, because I know I want to get out of the way for Dan. We were talking a little bit pre-show about, things that real estate agents do and keep on file just for their records, right? So you have emails and you have your voicemails that you're probably downloading. And I know these days a lot of communication goes through text messaging. So if you're an agent who's doing, really any business owner that's doing any kind of communication via text, sometimes it can be a little difficult to download that text messaging for later use, if you will, to save for later use. So there's some apps out there that you can use on the iPhone and the Android. And I'll just give you an idea so you can look it up. For iPhone, there's one called Decipher. And that's made specifically for the iPhone. And then there's another one for Android, aptly titled SMS Backup. So the thought process behind it is pretty simple. If you just want to keep records of things, just in case, it's a good way to do it. Or if, you might want to look at if these things hold up in the court of law, sometimes if there's something going on with you and a client and you need to prove something, text messaging, if you communicate 40 or 50% via text messaging and you don't have it backed up, that could go by the wayside. So using these apps to download text messaging between you and clients and you and other business partners and then keeping them in a digital file or a file if you're still working with paper, I think is a good backup plan.
I like it. Very, very good. Cool. Well, there's many reasons I want to back up my text with Greg. I don't want to ever read what Greg says again, but
that's called sexual harassment, though. That's different.
Oh my God!
I don't think that's what's going on, Gene, in our text.
All right, you say so.
I think that must be the flu medication that's fucking with you right now.
Do you want me to pull up my last messages with you, McDaniel?
Go for it. Go for it, Baldy.
You know I'm kidding, baby. You know I am kidding.
Maybe creating an unsafe and hostile work environment, but not sexual harassment. So another quick tip is that I have my entire team, and then Greg, you and I are both on it. We're on Voxer.
Yeah.
So this is very dangerous for everyone because there's a couple things that I love about Voxer, which gives us the ability to exchange voice messages. So when I'm trying to communicate something to my staff, like I would much rather just say it and record it and have them be able to listen to it rather than me having to type it out, right? Which is great. It also gives you the ability for Greg to reach out to me with voice messages so that he doesn't have to type, which is good for all of us because of spelling and dyslexia and all that good stuff. However,
Matt, this is a Voxer message to you to tell you, you suck. There we go. Now you have that, buddy.
And that's the disadvantage of Voxer. So you just have to be very careful. If you're using Voxer and you leave the application open and it's set to the person you were talking last, if they start talking, it starts talking and it's live and you can just hear it and it comes out your speakerphone. So be very careful who and what you're Voxering about with, because I had...
Matt, listen, this is gold. I'm giving you some gold right now. There should be a segment each week with the Greg's Voxer of the Week. You got to just pick one as the week goes on and play it on air. That'll be gold.
Oh, that's awesome. Gene, I love it. All right, so Gene, how do people reach out and connect with you?
Anything Gene Volpe. So you guys know I'm not going to sing it today. Greg, do it for me.
.com.
GeneVolpe.com. Go to the website. There's a chat box on the side. Hit me up. You can always email me at info@GeneVolpe.com. Facebook/Gene Volpe Media. I mean, there's a million ways. Just search for GeneVolpe.com. You'll get me.
That's right. All right, Gene. Awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
See you guys, Dan. Good luck.
Later, buddy.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you, my friend. Feel better.
See you again. Thanks, bud.
All right. So, Dan, let's turn back to you, and I want to jump back into the direct mail a little bit because you mentioned that was one of your three key pillars. So you've got these, like the series of letters that are going out, which are awesome, by the way, and I've got some other friends in the business that are doing something similar. So those cash offer type letters, like they generate a lot of interest. They'll generate a lot of calls and a lot of website visits and stuff like that. So a couple questions on that. When you're giving them the option of like just going online, what is the call to action? Are they checking their home value? Are they just learning more about the type of offer they might get? Like what's the online option part of that?
It takes them to something where there's an automated valuation model, AVM, that's built into one of our websites, but to get that they've got to give their home address, obviously, their email and phone number. So we've got follow-up information once they do that. And
do you find that cuts down on like the Mickey Mouse response? Like, are they more likely with that type of reach out to put in accurate information so that you can actually reach back out to them?
I think so. I mean, every now and then we'll get the FU, whatever, right. at gmail.com or something like that. But, we don't seem to get a lot of that. So
yeah.
I think
that's good.
I think giving them more options, helps.
Really?
Well, again, have you guys ever used CoreFact by any chance? It's someone that we use out here for a lot of mailing. And it actually gives them, they know what address they're sending it to, and if Matt and Julie and their three obese little wood-denting, insulin-sucking little troll babies were to respond back from a card that you sent out to them, you would automatically be notified, and it gives them automatic AVM, and it gives them a couple of different opportunities, a bar, what's the condition of the home, what's the condition of the market, they adjust it, and the price points over here will adjust, and every time they log in, you get notified. We've had people nurturing for 7-8 years at this point. It's very effective. They go to a third-party site, and they don't have to put in personal information. They already know it because the code that CoreFact gives
I was going to say, it doesn't prompt them to put their
there.
personal info.
It's very simple.
Put their code in.
Yeah, we used to do that through a company called SmartZip.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing you just described. But what we found, we were basically paying – SmartZip would target the top 10 to 15% of the homes in your farm.
Well, Smart Step's a bunch of fucking assholes, in my personal opinion.
So,
Well,
yeah, I mean, we did the math on it after like a year, and we weren't getting a ton of business from it, and then we realized we were basically paying the same cost to mail the entire farm, if we did it through our normal direct mail vendor. So we switched back to doing that.
Gotcha.
Smart Step jacks people a lot. They talk a big game. They're completely full of shit. And the reason I know this is because they stole this whole theory from the company my family started about 7 years ago. So that whole top 10%, we made that. We came up with that. And they stole our vendors. They used CoreFact for that exact thing. I hope to God you're not using them anymore, because they are fucking thieves.
We haven't used
in
them
my own opinion.
3 years, I think. It's been a while.
You are a wise man. Wise man.
No, but that is interesting, though. Because Dan, you're basically getting like all the branding benefits out of it, too, for the same cost, right? So all the people that don't necessarily respond, because maybe they weren't the top 15%, they're still getting something from you, like a burst of marketing every quarter, effectively.
Right.
Yeah, for the same cost.
And then a lot of these people, they call in, our ISA sets an appointment with one of our listing agents. They go to the house, and you find out it's not like a teardown. It's they've updated it over the years, and so that program brings in a lot of listings that don't necessarily go to builders as well. So
yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sometimes it's like, sometimes it's like, your home's a great candidate for a teardown, and this is the price we can get you today. And other times it's like, well, we'd do. If we listed it, this is what we'd get, and they end up going that route. So it's
so feed your listing agents.
Dan,
so tell me about the
Brad Chandler at all. Do you work with Brad Chandler at all? Is he in your marketplace?
That doesn't sound familiar, but
he's out somewhere in your neck of the woods. He does something very similar to what you guys are doing, and he's exceedingly successful. I'll see if maybe you guys can work together. I don't know, guys. Yeah, I just thought maybe you guys were buddies and you share the same ideas or something like that. That's all.
I think Chandler's coming out from the investor side.
He is, but he also does residential resale. He says he'll buy them, but he only buys about 2 to 3 out of like 10,000 that he mails, and he lists I think 15 or 20. So financially it pays off for him extremely nicely.
Gotcha.
He's actually starting a course on that too. So
interesting.
Actually, we'll get him on the show and talk about it.
Yeah,
but anyways, I just thought you knew him, man.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so Dan, tell me a little bit about the ISA. So you've got direct mail going out, generating calls, generating inquiries, and they're coming in I'm assuming the ISAs will field both actual incoming calls from the letters, but then also returning calls off the people that submit the inquiries online, right?
Right. Yep. So our ISAs are mostly doing warm or inbound calling, and it's either people calling in or people that have signed in at open houses or people that have gone online and responded to one of our direct mail pieces.
Yeah. How long have you had that position in place, the ISA model?
That's been, I think my wife hired her first ISA in 2010, and I know 2013 when we combined, we had 2, now we have 3. We're looking to add a 4th and 5th too. So.
Oh wow, very cool. So anything interesting? Like, do you manage them personally? Do they report to Carrie?
There's right now there's 3 of them, and one of them's a manager, and he manages the others, and nice. Carrie and I meet with that person on a weekly basis.
Very cool. So are they physical, or they get like everybody's rolling into the office?
Yeah, they're in the office. A few years ago, we had a third party company that would give us one, but we just found it was hard, having them in the office, training them, being in control of them, more so than somebody like offsite, worked a lot better. We are thinking about adding part-time ones maybe that do like 4 hours of calling a day and come in the office once a week or something like that, just to expand, because it's a hard position to hire and fill and keep, and it takes a while for them to build their pipeline up. So we've been looking at ways to like fill that gap for the first 3 to 6 months as they're building their pipeline, and But yeah, we're constantly working on that, tweaking it.
Yeah, it's an interesting that model is an interesting model. Having somebody call part-time, like from home, but it's not a full 8-hour day, so like they can just focus for 4 hours and then move on and do something else. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to do that, provided they you just have to be, like, you as a leader have to be good at managing that, holding them accountable, making sure you know your own numbers and what their numbers are and all that good stuff. We had a guy on another podcast that he would get his people together and they would do a Google Hangout every 25 minutes and then just go over objections and things that they're running into, and then it was basically the Pomodoro method for cold calling. They would all do 25 minutes of calls, hop on a call together for 5 minutes, go back, do another 25 minutes, hop on again. So that kind of it broke up the day for everybody, but it also kept everybody accountable. So that'd be an interesting model to try with ISA, is like each calling from home is just everybody do a half hour, an hour of calls, and then hop on a Google Hangout or Zoom or something like that.
How many hours did they do total of calling?
I think 3. So like 9 to 9 to noon. Yeah. So it's an interesting model. And I think there's going to be more of that, especially more experiments with that. I don't know what the most successful thing will be. But I could see that being successful. I can also see things like, having the manager do their calls on Facebook Live and the other people have it kind of in the background, and, just so that they can see what the best is doing and have that sense that they're kind of in the office without actually being in the office. So I think we'll see a lot of that as offices go either completely virtual or the ISAs are virtual. It'd be interesting to see how that kind of stuff develops. But so we talked a little bit about kind of the lead gen pillars that you guys have, and you mentioned before we went on the air that repeats and referrals and stuff like that are big business for you guys. Obviously, you've been around for a while. Your wife was in it since the early 2000s, so you've got a good backlog of people. But those things don't happen automatically. So what do you guys do intentionally to make sure that you generate those repeat and referral business?
Yeah, so we do. We do a mix of things. We do 4 big events a year, so quarterly events. So cool. This month we're doing a casino night. We're basically renting out like a entire bar, and it's gonna be a casino theme. Then in April or May, this will be our 4th year in a row doing it. We do a Nationals baseball game, and that event has really grown. I think we get like 350 to 450 people now.
Wow, goodness, man.
Yeah, so we get like a whole section or two.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they bring us and like 5 other people that we get to choose like onto the field before and like announce us, and they make
nice.
Kind of a big deal about it. I actually think we might be their biggest like annual whatever.
Yeah, like single block purchaser client. Or something like that.
Yeah. And then
really
we
cool.
usually do like a barbecue at the end of summer, beginning of fall, and then in December we do a Christmas party. So we do 4 big events, every quarter, and then we try to do smaller events through our agents. So we basically tell them we'll sponsor, if you want to do, like a 20, 30 person kind of happy hour, we'll help sponsor that or offset costs for you. And then we do probably once a month, sometimes once every 2 months, but just like a personal letter that either Carrie or I write. And, it's kind of like what's going on in our lives type update. We send that to them. And then they're all on our like monthly email newsletter as well. So they're getting a ton of touches throughout the year.
Yeah, like are the agents, I'm assuming with the events and stuff, not only are emails going out, but are your agents picking up the phone and personally inviting their database to those events?
So for the events, they usually get a paper invitation, an email invitation, and then we'll do like a calling day or a couple leading up to the events where, everyone calls for an hour or 2 in the office and, invites their top clients. And
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, Greg, you've talked about that for years because you guys have done something very similar.
Yeah, there's always been a very, very effective tool for us. Humanizing yourself out there with the update of what's going on in your life. I love that idea, Dan. That's a really good touch, and it just opens you up, to be transparent with your agents and with your past clients and everyone else. And the events, I think, are are very important, because a lot of us, we want to hide behind, these cell phones or, something along those lines. It's easier, it's safer for us. But to get out, go belly to belly, face to face with people, there's nothing that's going to ever take the power of that away. Because if you're sitting next to somebody crunching down on some peanuts and an ice cold beer, watching the team play, and you guys can start having conversations, you never know where that conversation is going to go. And it's because it's in a very safe, fun, relaxed environment, or at the casino night, or, at the picnic or whatever else. I like the fact that you didn't pick high stress types of events. You guys are very much just kind of relaxed, and I think that allows people to be more themselves versus having to be, dress up and have to get into a tight-fitting gown for the ladies, or a suit that doesn't quite fit so right for the guys because we sit on our butts too much, but you can just go have fun and just relax. And I really enjoy that. Terry, my father, the Grandmaster, used to do the baseball games. He didn't do a whole section, but that's taken a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. But he'd have season tickets, 4 seats, and then we'd give them away to clients and a lot of other things. That wasn't as effective as a one-time buy of a big block group of something, because then it was just so ordinary that are like, oh, the tickets will be there next week. They'll be there next weekend. There wasn't the event feeling behind it. So we gave a lot of the tickets to our mailman, who then in turn gave us tips on divorces. So it was beneficial.
Oh, nice.
It was. He really did.
That's
really
funny.
Did.
All right, Dan, take me back to kind of when you were hitting the ground running, because you did really well your first couple years right out of the gate. What was big for you back in the day for lead generation?
Yeah, so my first year when I was starting out, I thought it would be something that would be part-time for me, because I bought a few houses and just felt like, I don't need to pay the 3% to the agent, and I'll get my license for my next property that I invest in. So, so that's what I kind of the attitude when I first started out, and I decided, okay, I'm going to target the condo building I live in. Really simple. There was about 200 units in there. At the time, it was like 4 years old, so resales hadn't come up in it yet, and there was no dominant agent. And so I started sending them a monthly direct mail piece and a monthly email newsletter. I got everyone's email address from someone who worked there, basically. But
Nice.
So I started doing that and started getting a bunch of clients, and inventory was super low back then. So a lot of them were looking for things that just weren't on the market, didn't come up that much. And so I basically started to figure out ways to go and find the inventory before it came on the market. So as an example, I'd like one client wanted the townhome, near the metro. There was only like 90 of them, but then they kind of narrowed it down. We're like, well, we want an in-unit townhome. So that meant like, okay, you don't have 90 to choose from. You've got 11. So on average, you'll have like one sale every 2 years or something. God. So
yeah.
I basically did handwritten notes, though, to those 11 owners. Got 4 responses, and one of them, it was like the perfect home. They bought it. Another one became my listing 3 months later, and then another one I sold off market a couple years after that. So,
nice.
That was kind of
4 very productive handwritten notes. Good Lord.
And those were all like $1.1 million, average price point. So,
yeah.
Well, good use.
Basically, I started with one condo building. Those buyers were moving into, bigger condos nearby or townhomes, and I ended up getting like 50% of the market share in that condo building my first year. And I just added to that and, added, okay, I'll do like all the buildings around this metro stop. And then I kind of just expanded up and down the metro line. And now that's, I don't know, there's probably 8,000 condos and townhomes that I target in that area today.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that story that you just went in it and you didn't go to like Zillow or some big box shop for leads. You're like, okay, I'll go old school. Hey man, hey Mary, I have a client that want to buy your house, yada yada. And then the people saw the authenticity in that, and then they reached out to you. They're like, hey Dan, thanks for your letter, yada yakety schmackety. You sold 4 of them. That's really, but your name got out there as not the big box agent. You're like the local yokel that still does personalized stuff, but it's still very, very professional and can deliver on what he says. I think we lose our way in this industry at times, and I think it's happening more and more right now. We want the easy button. You didn't go for the easy button. You went for the logical button. How would I respond? What's the best way to get a hold of these? Well, let's go hit them directly with a real story. Mm-hmm. So now you have 8,000 of them. Are you still dominating? I'm assuming you are. I'm going to go with that, thought pattern that you're crushing it with those townhouses. Do you do anything special for those types of folks? I mean, are they on a special program, or are they in the same type of program with the letters and everything else because they're a different type of home versus a single family, and they're near metro, and that's a highly desirable product?
Yeah, so they get a different type of direct mail. We focus on our guarantees for those type of for that farm, and so we'll for move up buyers, we guarantee the sale of their home. If they buy, if they're buying a home with us and listing with us, we'll do guarantees where if it doesn't sell in a certain amount of time, we sell it for free. We also put like our off market stats on there, so we still to this day sell about 20% of our homes off market, either for our sellers or helping buyers do the same. And that's one of the I don't know if there's a better hook for a buyer than that, because even if your mom is like this is what our head ISA basically said the other day, like even if your mom is an agent, if you have access to off market inventory that they don't, they kind of have to come with you if they want more options. So it's
funny you say that. I use that line when I'm at open houses, but I change it up a little bit. I'm like, so Matt, Julie, 3 obese little wood-ending insect-loving little baby trolls. I have access to I call it my secret MLS, and these homes generally are not on the market. Would that be something you'd be interested in? 100% of the time, they give the look to each other of like, is he full of shit or is he for real? And I let them do that, and they're like, well, yeah. I mean, I have a couple leads here from my on Saturday's open house from doing that exact thing, and it just makes you stand out a little bit. And do you guys want to know what the secret MLS is? Dangling that hook right there. Here's a hook. Guys, it's Zillow Make Me Move. That's we've done a lot of those. Those are great.
Yeah. So anyone can say that. Although I will say that the best person I've heard on that, like with that line, Brett Jennings out in Silicon Valley, like his team, like in all of their prospecting, they'll keep track of all those homes that the people are willing to entertain an offer if it's the right offer. And so they actually build, like they have an ongoing list of 100+ properties where the owners are open to an offer if it's the right offer. They literally keep a true off-market property list in very, very desirable areas, so that like when they do a buyer presentation, it's not even just a theoretical thing. They literally whip out an actual list, an ongoing, constantly updated list of all the properties that they have that are completely off the market that are open to offers. So yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal like competitive advantage when you're going in with buyers.
And our open house flyer, we talk about that, but then we actually list all of the addresses of off-market homes that we've sold in the last year.
Wow.
And it ends up being like just a page full of addresses, and
That's awesome.
That's a great marketplace.
Very
I mean,
cool.
in Northern Cal, I mean, we're bone dry on inventory. I mean, there's a city called Pleasant Hill over here. Last time I checked, they had like 17 homes in the entire city for sale.
Good Lord.
It's bone dry.
We're at like one month's inventory, so
Wow.
not much, but
Goodness, man.
We're at dust. We're just, it's gone.
Yeah.
It just vanishes. It's insane.
That's crazy. Well, I did want to get, Dan, give us a quick rundown of kind of your open house strategy, how you guys run it for your team, because I know that's in one of your other pillars of lead generation.
Yeah, so we do a lot of marketing to help drive traffic. We've Facebook, social media type marketing for each of our open houses. We've got a field services guy that runs around, does all the signs so that our agents aren't doing that. and so we get a ton of signage out, and then our agents they basically get one open house day off per month, so they do 3 open houses a month for us, each of them.
Okay.
So we're typically doing like 10 open houses. We're usually getting at least 10 people through each one on average. So there's, on any given Sunday, it's about 100 people probably total coming in. And we focus. We do a lot of training, a lot of role playing with our buyers agents to get them well trained at, capturing appointments and booking appointments at the open house.
Yeah.
We actually had one of our agents book like 4 appointments from one open house last week.
Whoa.
Wow. Goodness.
That person's a crusher.
He only had 5 people come through. So
Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's not 80% conversion rate off of an open house lead. That's awesome, man. Very cool.
But
so it's like baked into your
the
business.
The biggest hook there really is that off-market program. So we basically try to teach them all, how the techniques that I used when I was a solo agent and that Carrie has used as well, like how to go find the off markets and so they try and do it for that particular like open. So if they're doing an opening like a 2-bedroom condo and someone comes in and doesn't like something about it, they can say, well, I've got another one that potentially I can find that meets this criteria. It's not in the MLS yet. Do you want to have a meeting to learn more about it? And if they're a serious buyer, that's kind of hard to turn down.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine being able to say that you specialize in finding properties that are not listed on the MLS? I mean, that would be phenomenal. I mean, yeah, any buyer would be crazy to turn that down and just go, I'm just going to keep an eye on Zillow. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, I love it. So those two strategies go hand in hand. So the direct mail that generates the leads and the open house strategy essentially go like hand in hand. You're able to leverage one off of the other and actually makes your open house is way more effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool.
And the direct mail, in terms of like return on investment ROI, it's probably number 4 or 5 on our list, but it brings a lot of the listings, which then gives you the open house and sign calls and those cheaper costing leads.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're doing an average of 10 open houses a weekend, they get 10 people through. As long as people are doing a good job of registering them, you're generating 400 legit buyer leads a month off of open houses alone. That's not counting sign calls. I mean, that's more than. I mean, the average agent can really only work 30 or 40 new leads a month anyway. So you probably got more than enough leads for your agents just between sign calls and open house leads.
We do, and that's why we've really focused on recruiting the last couple months. We've just realized that people tap out, buyers agents especially, and if you they probably do the same amount of business if you gave them 30 leads a month as if you gave them 100. So.
Yep. I know guys who have proven that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, like the sweet spot, I've heard multiple people like independently run tests, and they agree the sweet spot is right at 30 new leads a month, no more than 100 being worked at any one time.
Yeah,
because they'll start to cherry pick.
Yeah, just anecdotally, that kind of seems right.
Resonates. Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, we're running out of time. I would love to get into the team building and the indie brokerage conversation, but like I said, we'll have to get you booked on one of our other family of podcasts because I want to go deep into that because I know there's a lot of guys in my world that are very interested in that transition, why you did it, what some of the hurdles were that you overcame, and all that good stuff. But for now, let's close out and just let people know how they can connect and just briefly mention the areas that you serve again and how people can send referrals your way.
Sure. So we our main market's Arlington, Northern Virginia. We serve DC and close in Maryland as well. Couple different ways to get a hold of us. We've got the CarrieSchollTeam.com website. My website's LiveTheOrangeLine.com. So 2 different websites there. If you want to learn about some of the real estate education stuff that we have going on, you can go to hyperfast.com. I've got some books out there and products that talk about some of our hyper-focused type lead generation strategies. So that's
awesome.
hyperfast.com. And you can also email us at contact@carryschullteam.com if you want to email a referral or just say hello.
Perfect. And it was funny. There's a funny moment, Dan. I was looking up your specific website, Live the Orange Line, which makes sense for what you're doing. For some reason, I think Google auto-completed it or something, like in the process of typing out the very first time I went to it. So it took me to livetheorangelife.com. I'm like,
Home Depot.
This appears to be a Home Depot recruiting website.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested in working for Home Depot, but it's just fun. It was one of those things where if you don't get it quite right, you end up going to a Home Depot recruiting website.
We actually get quite a bit of web traffic from people trying to go to that one.
Do you really?
So, yeah, it's like probably a couple hundred a month that come in.
Oh, that's awesome. It's like bonus. All right. So, Greg, how do people reach out and connect with you?
Guys, I'm going to put it here in the chat. Go to bookmcdaniel.com, bookmcdaniel.com. You guys, you get a 30-minute little time slot that works best for you. You and I can sit down and we'll talk about EXP, what Matt and I are building, the value add benefits. I'll show you guys how to go from getting just a commission check to literally building wealth and keep selling real estate with what EXP offers, and then all of the value add, the products, the classes, the coaching that Matt and I have tapped into and negotiated for you guys so that you guys come in and get it at a very little or zero cost basis. So both you and all of your team members, when you guys build a team with EXP, if you join us, will get all these value add benefits. So again, just go ahead, follow me on Facebook, follow Matt on Facebook, go to bookmcdaniel.com, get a 30-minute time slot, and let's talk. Let's see if it's a right fit for you. If it is, great. If it isn't, great. You know what? We just want to make sure that you guys know about the opportunity to build a 401k at the exact same time as getting commissions, and learn how you can build a team behind you and get mailbox money from what they're producing, not taking any of their cash, only working off the company dollar, so that over 5 years, if you guys put like 25 people in your team, you can see some serious revenue generation on a continuing basis in case some sort of catastrophic event takes place in your life, or if you decide you're done with the hard game and you want to just go do something else, but you still have revenue coming in on a passive basis. So bookmcdaniel.com, guys, go book it up right now and let's talk. Matt, how do they get a hold of you? I know they have you. They have a nice little bookbigjohnson.com. They can get some time with you.
Not that one. Wrong URL again. Bookjohnson.com. You can book a quick 15-minute meeting if you need some advice or direction on coaching or programs from anyone that's been on the show before, if you're considering going with them. I did want to briefly mention that our friend Michael LaFido, who's been on the show a couple of times in the past, a great client and the host of the Luxury Listing Specialist podcast, is going to be doing a live boot camp for luxury real estate in Chicago here, and I think it's in 10 days. So I'm going to drop the link into the live. It's basically just luxurylistingspecialist.com/Chicago, I believe, is the shortcut if you're listening to this. If it's after the fact, still be sure to check out his luxury certification because it is phenomenal. LaFido is a big Dan Kennedy marketing fan, and so man alive, he's got his luxury stuff is dialed in, so you will enjoy that. And then you can always check out live stream if you are a new agent or a top producing agent and you're looking for more high definition live video training. My buddy Jeff Cohn and his office out of Nebraska, the #1 team in that state, they're going to sell probably 800 plus homes this year. You can actually access their team's training, Wednesday, Friday trainings live on Facebook or directly through their live stream page. And you can go to erslivestream.com to check that out. I'll drop the link into that as well. It's like $17 a month. So it's super, super affordable. It doesn't matter whether you are new or if you're a team leader and you want to drop your agents into a training program so that you don't have to hire like a training manager or try to pull one of your top producing agents out of the field and into the office to train where they might not be their most productive. So if you if you're a team leader listening to this and you have a team of agents and you're kind of in that in-between position where you can't hire a success manager or a sales manager quite yet to do that training, that's another great option is live stream. So check that out, guys. But with that, just want to thank you for subscribing to the show, sharing the show. You guys are subscribing on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys sharing the show. We just did a speaking engagement out in Detroit for a couple of listeners who brought us up to their brokerage and basically made it happen. We ended up speaking there last week. We might speak again in May on that. And then Glenn Twiddle is bringing us out to Australia next month to speak with Josh and Matt Altman, a bunch of other folks. So, guys, if you want us to do that, just let us know. We appreciate you guys sharing us with your brokers and your fellow agents and all that stuff like you guys do.
Yeah, guys, also go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. If you like what we're doing, help other people find us. So, Matt, what are you going to put on this thing?
A bow, a nice, tidy bow, Greg.
That always chuckle. I
don't know why. I think it's an Adam Carolla thing.
All right, guys.
Nice bow on this one.
All right, guys. We do this show because we love you, and that's true because we've been doing this over 3 years now. We're not going to stop, guys. So until next time, peace out, ninjas.